Good evening, leaders. I trust you can hear me well, and just give me an indication just to confirm. If you can show thumbs up or any sign, I'll be able to know that we are communicating. So let me just do a quick check. If you can hear me, can see my screen, just show a thumbs up. Yeah, thank you, Mariam. Thank you, Eunice. Yeah, I think that is a sample, and with that, I can confirm probably we are communicating with everyone else. We are so pleased, so happy, and we have been looking forward to this opportunity just to be able to sit in this environment and engage on issues of leadership as we think about how to continue driving change and transformation wherever we are. So we are so pleased, and feel free. This will be a very interactive session. We hope to have a lot of engagements with the discussants, and we trust that all of us will be able to really benefit from this setup. So we'll be looking at it from both the class environment, what we have learned, and also from the experience. And that's what our discussants will also be sharing, as we also get to learn from each and every one of us who is here present. So as you had noted from our program, we had indicated we'll have a short networking session. So you will allow me just to, for the purposes of managing and to allow each person to introduce themselves quite well. So we'll create some groups, and in the groups, we request that one of the members to take the initiative to allow other members to introduce themselves. And I'll be adding more members as they join. So if you see a new member coming to your group, please allow them to introduce themselves. Let's know each other in terms of probably the profession, the cohorts. If you have a new member, you can take an opportunity just to be able to also maybe introduce them to the program and just share briefly what goes on in this program. So I'll send you to the groups for about 10 minutes. And then after the 10 minutes, we'll resume, and we'll be able to move on with the rest of the session. Okay, so allow me just to do that quite quickly. Take the initiative once you land in the group. Take the initiative just to be able to introduce yourself to the group, to the members. And then please, when a new member comes on board, we request that just take them through the introduction, and let's get to know each other, the cohort that you've been in, amongst other issues that we can discuss today. So yeah, so let's just interact briefly in the breakout sessions. If you have any challenge, just let me know. I'll be able to come on board and help. Yes, so you can feel free to join the group as we engage briefly. So welcome back, leaders. I hope you had an interactive session. Yeah, and we are happy and pleased to move on to the next session. And before I take you through a brief context, just to set the context clear for today, I will request Reverend Kahindi, if you can please just unmute and say hello to the team. I hope you in a place where you are comfortable, just to be able to greet the team and also open with a word of prayer. Reverend Kahindi.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I'm in a very comfortable, warm place this evening, especially so now that I'm seeing I met somebody from cohort 6 and the like. I'm very excited. I'm very excited. For introduction, I'm Reverend Johnston Kahindi, and as requested, let's just bow down our heads for a word of prayer. Almighty Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you, Jehovah, for having put this leader. And God, for having rallied us around Jehovah and brought us to this network. This time, Jehovah, we give you all the glory and all the honor. We thank you for each and every person who is in this meeting now, and them that shall join us, oh Father. Make us be of one mind, one heart, that Jehovah, whatever it is that you are prepared for us, we shall learn in a way like never before. God, I commit each and every person you shall allow to talk, that God, your spirit shall guide him to give us that which will be beneficial to our lives. We honor you, Jehovah, we glorify your name. In Jesus' mighty name, I do pray and believe. Amen.
Amen. So as usual, feel free to make any comment in between as we engage, and allow me to straight away just take you through a brief overview, just to set the context clear of our discussion tonight. This is our 2021 Leadership Forum, and the theme is Leading Transformative Change in a VUCA World. And we are saying leadership, as usual, is not enough in a VUCA world. So I just want to take you through briefly on what is this VUCA world, the context of VUCA world, and then I'll be able to usher in the discussants to be able to share their perspectives on this particular subject. I trust you can see my screen and you can see a vehicle there. And I don't know if you are able to really see the front part of that vehicle. In which direction is that vehicle moving? Yeah, if you can see the vehicle, in which direction is it moving? I know we are seated differently and maybe we might give different answers, but if you look at it, can you tell the front part of that vehicle? Yeah, so just think about this, and maybe you can indicate on the chart as we interact. Can we be able to tell the front of this vehicle? Can we tell the direction that is moving? Is it really clear in terms of the movement, the direction that is moving towards? Yeah, if I can just have maybe 3. Yeah, Eric, you're saying no, you can't tell the direction. Yeah, you can't tell the direction. And there is a reason why we actually saying we cannot tell the direction of this vehicle, because it looks confusing. It looks like it has many front parts. And this is the context that we are leading today. And that's why we are saying leadership, as usual, is not enough in a VUCA world. Basically, we are saying probably what was so obvious is no longer obvious. It was, or it will be very easy to be able to tell the front side of a car. But in the context that we are leading at this particular time, the obvious are no longer the obvious. Probably the structures that we had and were working very well or very clear, now you find some of those structures may not really be that clear. Peter Gidiomi, you are saying, no, the windscreen and tires are in different directions. And it is true. And that's why we are saying leadership, as usual, may not work in a VUCA environment, because VUCA we are saying we have external disruptions on and to our organizations. The models that we have been operating on, now they're experiencing more pressure, more demand, more resistance. There's so much from the global connectivity. Something that happens in China easily is able to impact what happens in Kenya. So this is the context of VUCA world. And just to highlight, where did VUCA come from, or what is the origin? It's an acronym, first used in 1987. And there are these gurus of leadership. One of them is Warren Bennis and Bart Nanus. So they used this acronym to describe how the conditions and the situations have changed, have shifted. The situations of leadership are volatile. There is a lot of uncertainty. There is a lot of complexity and ambiguity. Think about that car. What was obvious is no longer that obvious. Yeah, so this is the context of VUCA. The same is referred to. The US Army War College introduced the concept of VUCA to describe the multilateral world perceived as resulting from the end of the world, of the Cold War. So after the war, the world was no longer the same. There were a lot of shifts. There were a lot of dynamics that had changed, and people had to learn how to engage in a different environment. Even the war itself had now to be taken to another level. VUCA is also referred to mostly when you're talking about strategic leadership. Yeah, it's a key acronym when it comes to issues of strategic leadership. So volatility, the V, the nature and dynamics of change. There is so much change which is happening rapidly. There are a lot of change, forces of change. There is a lot of catalysts that are driving change around us. So the environment has become volatile. It's uncertain. There is lack of predictability. We cannot predict any longer how the direction of that car. We cannot predict even how our actions will lead to. You're making decisions that may not be that obvious. Decisions that we cannot just with certainty be able to confirm this is what we expect. So the prospects for surprise has become the norm of the day. Complexity, there are multiple forces of change. There is the issue of there is no cause and effect chain. That one cause, we can't tell the effect clearly because it might result to a different cause from what we anticipated. Ambiguity, the haziness of reality. Yeah, there's a mixed meaning of conditions, and the clarity that was there is no longer clearly vivid in terms of the decisions and the leadership styles that we are adopting. So VUCA, we are saying in the volatile environment, the environment demands that we react quickly to ongoing changes that are unpredictable and out of our control. Yes, because they are external forces. The uncertainty, the environment requires you take action without certainty. Complexity, the environment is dynamic with many interdependencies. And then the ambiguity, the environment is unfamiliar, outside of our experience. Think about what is happening in different sectors. Those of us who are in education sector, those of us who are in the banking sector, in government, in all those sectors, what was obvious is no longer obvious. There is so much that is shifting within our environment. So changes, they are occurring much more often than before, and they require continuous analysis and evaluation. We are not able to be able to predict and prioritize factors that may influence our situations. We are saying the number of factors determining the development process have increased significantly, and they have also become unknown. and information is difficult to interpret clearly. Past experience may not be applicable or may not really give us precise outcome. So they may not clearly explain new processes and events. And maybe just to bring this message home as I pause to allow our discussants to come on board, let me cite a case of Nokia. I'm sure most of you might have seen this or used this phone. It was a very famous phone. I don't know the model was which one. Those of us who used this phone, you can be able to remember which model it was. And if you can be generous enough to remind us this was which Nokia. You can remember this era of this phone. And when Nokia was shutting down, the CEO gave a speech and he actually cried. So he ended his speech saying this, what is indicated there on the screen, that we didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost. We didn't do anything wrong as an organization, but somehow we lost it. And upon saying that, all his management team, himself included, teared sadly. They started crying sadly. This was really a situation that that was speaking to so many other organizations. And Nokia was acquired by Microsoft after his speech. You can remember so many other incidents that have shaped the world. Remember the 9/11, which has changed our security systems. Remember what happened in Nairobi, the bomb blast that has shifted the dynamics of how business is operating. Remember the Westgate. And also remember the disruptive innovation. The camera, the Kodak camera, has now been replaced by the disruptive innovation of the mobile. The GPS Google has taken over around that. Remember the Uber. There's so much that is shifting. The forces are working around us so fast that if we are to keep at pace and be able to maintain our organization, then the essence of how to operate in a VUCA environment becomes critical. And I want to pause there just to be able to usher in our discussion so that we can be able to deepen and look at different perspectives of this discussion. Thank you, Reverend Kahindi. You have reminded us the model. It's Nokia 310. Is it 310 or 3310? I stand to be corrected. Eric, COVID is equally mutating faster than software upgrade, one variant to another in quick succession. That's also volatility. So just think about, thank you, Reverend Kahindi, 3310. So there are so many other scenarios that we can be able to cite. Maybe even think within your own environment. What has shifted? Are there prospects? Are there predictions that probably a new company might come up with a solution that you are offering, and you need now to be able to keep at pace so that you're able to maintain your existence? So I'll pause there, and I'll just want to now take the opportunity to bring in our first discussant, Pastor Chege Kamau from cohort 4. Pastor Chege Kamau is also a civil servant. He works at the Ministry of East African Community, and he has a lot of experience from different areas, from the church, from the government sector, and I'm sure also from other boards that he has led or he's leading in. So, Pastor Kamau, I just want to take the opportunity to welcome you to be able to take us through the first discussion. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Chairperson. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yes,
I
you are.
thank God for this opportunity. It's quite an honor. And therefore, I want to thank the leadership of this great initiative. And by the grace of God, I always like this for global leadership, that we think global, we lead local, and we transform the world. And perhaps our interaction today is going to be nothing but in the line of those things. So I'll take a very short time. Let me hope to go through just a few slides. Oh, sorry, I've gotten the wrong. Just a few minutes. I think I got the wrong PowerPoint. Just
So as we continue, as we wait for Pastor Chege just to set up, I request that we continue to share our comments on this subject on the chat, maybe a comment, an observation, if something comes up through the discussion, and you may want just to re-echo it or some more clarification, please feel free to share on the chat as we continue. Pastor Chege, please, you can proceed.
yeah, Chairman, I think you put it very well. We need to disrupt ourselves. Indeed, this is a VUCA world. And I think, like you said it, leadership as usual is not enough in a VUCA world. And therefore, what do we need to do? Thank you. You have demystified VUCA. But I think for purposes of emphasis, the acronym and those 4 key letters, and I want to approach it from the environment in which we operate. That you have told us it's an environment that is very volatile, and therefore it demands quick reaction to ongoing changes. We must be alert because what is happening is unpredictable and out of our control. You said it's uncertain, and therefore it requires one to take action without certainty. For us as believers, this is what I call a leap of faith. It is very complex, very dynamic, with very many interdependencies, and finally ambiguous. It's not familiar to us. It is outside what we are used to, our expertise. And therefore, this environment requires people that are change makers, but not those that choose to focus on the past. Now, I want to look at this famous futurist that we have come across in all our classes, Alvin Toffler. And this is what he said, that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn and relearn. As we go through this session tonight, perhaps we need to ask ourselves, where are we? Yes, we may have acquired numeracy and literacy skills, but as far as Alvin Toffler is saying, we may have acquired those skills, but if we cannot learn, and this is what the VUCA world requires, if we cannot unlearn and relearn, then we become the illiterate of the 21st world. These are the issues that I want us to go through tonight. When we talk about unlearning, what are we saying? It is a process of discarding something from your memory. When you unlearn something, you forget it and you put it aside. I don't know, Chairman, how do are you able to see the full screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Put it aside so that you can get something new. Why is it critical? This process of unlearning helps to get rid of bad habits and preconceptualized ideas that I call false ideas. And leaders, the role of unlearning is vital in today's new normal environment of operation. This new normal is what we are calling the post-COVID-19 situation. That is not business as usual. It requires a paradigm shift. It calls for a change of mindsets. And I think this is what the chairman was saying. For us to have new mindsets, we must be ready to disrupt ourselves, do something about our status quo. It is not time to just be comfortable in the way we did things a while ago. And I want to say that in this new environment, it matters what perspective you decide to take. You may take a negative perspective where you say the world has come to an end. You may cry like everybody is crying, whoa, yeah, and declare there is no hope for the future. But again, you can have a positive attitude and consider this to be an opportunity that has not been with us before. And therefore, leaders, we are all in the same basket. We have not experienced COVID before, and therefore this new normal is an opportunity for all of us, all in the same basket. There is something I want us to know tonight, that many times opportunities will come disguised as challenges. And it is only a renewed mindset that will embrace them. And therefore my message tonight is refuse to conform to the current pattern. Begin to look at challenges from the lens of opportunities. That when everybody else is crying about challenges, you can begin to see them as opportunities. I want us to know tonight that we cannot leverage on the past to predict the future. What we need now is action with a new mindset. And therefore the clarion call is arise and do something. Stop waiting for a need that you are not sure of. You know, there are already people that are condemned. They don't know what is going to happen. And I want you to note, leaders, that transformation is required for our minds to change. And I want to register tonight, this is a difficult task for the majority of us, changing our minds. And notice that the mindset that we acquire influences our behavior, and behavior impacts on action. And our current mindsets mainly are the products of our upbringing. And therefore, perhaps we need a shift and begin to embrace the mindset of creators and innovators. Now, this process of unlearning, I want to bring to us 6 key things. Because for me, I fail to operate in the new VUCA world. Then there are things that we need to unlearn so that we can relearn to operate in this world. 1, you need to foster a sense of willingness. And Bruce Lee says this, that you must empty your cup so that it must be filled. You need to become devoid to gain totality. And the challenge many times, dear ones, is emptying our cups. Because when you're holding a cup that you feel is full, you don't want it to be emptied. But Bruce Lee says, we must empty it so that it can be filled. Number 2, pursue the unfamiliar. In order to grasp the new ideas, as I said before, we must get out of our comfort zone. When unlearning, you have to let go the familiar so that you can allow your mind to grasp the unfamiliar. Number two, we need to change the location. It has been said that new surroundings can help you to notice things from different perspectives. But many times we want to stick to the environment that we know. Number four, we need to learn from the opposite. When we surround ourselves with like-minded people, it has been discovered that this hampers the ability to learn. But when we expose ourselves to new ideas, it marks the beginning of the unlearning process. I am saying that in the VUCA world, some of us may need to change company. We may need people that can challenge our status quo. We may need people that can challenge what we think when we think we have arrived. But we need people that can tell us there is still a mile that we need to cover. Number five, we need to foster curiosity. And here I want to say we need to adopt the mind, the attitude of a child. You know, a child is open to discover new approaches and techniques without any hesitations, because children do not have the adult baggage of fear. You know, we fear, we are afraid that we are going to fail, that we are going to look stupid. And tonight I want to ask this question. What would you do today if you weren't afraid? I want to say we need to find the inner child in ourselves, the sense of curiosity that leads to increased creativity. We need to set goals and make success clear. The most effective and learning process provides clear and challenging goals without infringing our sense of ownership of the goals. Leaders, we must know that goals have the ability to provide motivation and a self-drive. As I close, I want to submit this as our take homes. Number one, in this VUCA world where transformation is called for, we need to embrace continuous learning in order to move forward. We must continue to unlearn, learn, and relearn if you're going to stay relevant in the world that is modern and digital. Number two, change is continual. So in order for us to stay current and not become obsolete, and learning is a vital component to the leaders. Number three, the most overlooked aspect of learning is the process of unlearning. We will acquire all the skills, but when it comes to unlearning, this is overlooked. Yes, we have acquired skills of leadership that have built the mountain of our ideas, but I want us to challenge ourselves. Are these ideas still viable? Are they up to date with the VUCA world? If not, then we need to unlearn. In order to unlearn and move forward, we must be willing to go through the process. We must know that our world is in constant flux. It is in constant motion, and therefore successful leaders will be the ones who unlearn, learn, and relearn, and also evolve with the world. Albert Einstein said this, that if you do the same thing over and over again, don't dream of expecting a different outcome. And I saw this quote in a different way, where he says, he defines what insanity is. And he says it is doing the same thing over and over and expecting the same results. And therefore, as I close this session, if there is something that we must avoid as leaders, it is insanity. Not that you're going to throw off your clothes and walk naked, but doing the same thing over and over again and expect the same results. It is a world that is volatile, is complex, it is ambiguous, and therefore we must brace ourselves for it by disrupting what we thought were our principles, having changed mindsets. That is how transformation comes about. Thank you for listening to me. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Chege. I request we appreciate Pastor Chege in we are in a digital world. So let's appreciate Pastor Chege for that wonderful presentation. And please feel free to share your reaction. And maybe if you may need to indicate who you are directing your question or your comment to, that will help us to be able to sort them out. Because I just want us to move straight away to our second discussant because of for the interest of time. So let your reactions keep flowing as we continue with our discussions. Our second discussant is Reverend Evanson Ngugi. He's a pastor, he's a reverend, pastoring a church in Zambezi. He's also an alumni of Global Leadership Network, Cohort 5. And we have worked together with him. This journey has been facilitating sessions together with us. And I'm sure he's also coming with a lot of experience from his environment. And let's just usher him in and listen through the perspective of his discussion on this topic of a VUCA world. Reverend Evanson, please take it up.
Thank you, Chairman. If you can hear me, please let me know.
Yes, Reverend, we can hear you well.
Okay. I greet you all, those of you who are listening to us from wherever they are, and those of you who are in this forum. I want to thank the Chairman and his board for giving me this chance to discuss this issue. I also want to appreciate Pastor Peter Kamau for a wonderful presentation. That is great. I really concur with so many things that he said. That is good. I bless the Lord. I want to start by saying this, that VUCA world is a creation of man. And I thank God for the way Chairman you really explained the meaning of this acronym. And when you look at all those things, it's about what man has done to this world we live in. The more we advance in intelligence, the more we advance in development, the more we advance in creation of different environments, the more complex the world becomes. And you know what? It was not like this from the beginning. If you read the book of Matthew, chapter 19, verse 8, Jesus told these Pharisees that the condition, of course, we are talking about divorce, was not like that in the beginning. Because in the beginning, God created a very wonderful, very orderly, and indeed a perfect world until man, through disobedience, broke this order. I don't have a screen, so I would like all of you please to listen and to work with me so that we can be able to get some take-home points. Now, making transformative change to such a world that man has interfered over the years, therefore presents several challenges and yet presents numerous opportunities. I want to look at 3 areas. What opportunities does VUCA world present to us today? Especially those of us who want to become transformative leaders. There is this man called Robin Sharma once said, opportunity is everywhere. The key is to develop the vision to see it. To me, transformative leadership has to see the opportunities that are presented by VUCA world, because we shall go to the next step in developing and also enjoying this world, because we have seen opportunities in the confusion and the ambiguities that are presented today. VUCA environment present the best opportunity for transformative leadership. You see, the emergence of computer era several years ago scared the world so much, especially in Kenya here, we kept on saying that jobs will be taken away. But you know what? When the computers came, more jobs were created. So the confusion that was being perceived by man then became a great opportunity even today. If all is well, if all is going on well, then there'll be no need for better leadership. In fact, better leadership is recognized in the midst of so much confusion and so much uncertainties. Somebody just rises up and it creates a new environment. Transformative change is when one leaves a positive change or legacy. We are looking for such leaders all over the world, everywhere, even in the families. We're looking for somebody who is going to help mankind to leave a legacy, to leave something positive behind, that the next generation will be proud of. I want all of us to imagine this man was called Martin Luther King Jr. And the kind of statements and the kind of reforms he had in mind, not only for the Americans, but also for the world at large. Even today, we keep on talking about what he believed and some of the things he achieved. Until your comfort zone is rattled by the volatility, uncertainty, complexity of your environment, you cannot become a transformative leader. You only be moving in the current. But when these uncertainties rattles your comfort zone, then your mind start working. And that is where we start now inventing new ways of doing things so that we don't become insane, like this man, Albert Einstein, tried to say. You must get disturbed by the status quo. You must be disturbed by what is happening around you in all aspects of life, politically, spiritually, economically, and environmentally. Those things that are going around you, if they don't touch your heart, if they don't make you a bit uncomfortable, then you are always going to agree with what is happening, and we shall continue swimming in the ambiguities of our environment. Change must begin with us, you and I. We are not going to look for leaders. We are not going to wish that if better leaders are there, but we are the one who are going to change. Nelson Mandela once said, until I changed myself, I could not change others. Well, Lloyd Bennett also included his voice by saying, "You never change your life until you step out of your comfort zone. Change begins at the end of your comfort zone." That is the perspective I have. That all of us, instead of crying woe, instead of crying victim about the circumstances we find ourselves in, instead of crying that we are confined by our own making, we need to look outside the box and see what we can do to bring this change. Of course, challenges will always be there. Because number one, we know from the spiritual point of view, Satan is at work. He will always raise opposition. So as you go out to do something spiritually, you must also be armed. And that is why we are asked to wear the whole armor of the Lord. So that when we go out there to make a change, as we go out there to make a difference, then we shall be armed, because the arrows will always be thrown at us. Another challenge that we are going to find is in human factor. We ourselves, we are also our own problem. People will always resist. They always try to resist the change, however good it looks. In the process, they always try to derail the plans of a leader who wants to bring a change. So as we aim at bringing a difference in this kind of world, then we must be aware that the people we are dealing with, the people who are to benefit from these changes, are also a problem. So a good leader will also take into consideration, how best do I change the mindset of the people I lead? Allow me to look at one or two strategies, maybe at least two, that we can adopt to be able to bring a transformation in the kind of world we live in, so that we are not held hostage by all these ambiguities we are talking about, by all these confusions that is brought about by technological development, brought about by education, and so on. The best thing is to, number one, to set and remain truthful to your vision. Remember, we are talking about I. So when I use the word you, I'm also referring to myself. Because we said change must begin with us. We are the one to change before others enjoy the change. Chairman, allow me to be faithful, to remain faithful and truthful to my faith, and also so that I can be able to use the life of Jesus Christ to illustrate my points. Chairman, am I allowed?
Yes, Reverend.
Chairman, are we together?
Reverend, yes, you can.
Did you allow me?
Yes, Reverend, that's okay.
Okay. So I said point number one is that set and remain truthful to your vision. Leaders who make a difference, who change, who leave a legacy, they have a vision and they die for their vision. You must make sure that you don't allow side shows to distract and divert your attention. You must remain focused. Theodore Hallberg once said, the very essence of leadership is that you have to have a vision. It is got to be a vision you articulate clearly and forcefully on every occasion. It must be that vision that is going to make you drunk. It must be so much in you that nothing can separate you from it. Nothing can change your perspective. Nothing can change your belief. Even death will not change you. Today, I watched the news of that lady in Kiambu who was shot. I know most of you have heard about it. And I was impressed by the strength she had to defend the environment. She was not afraid to die. That is what she believed. And I believe maybe some of the strategies she used might have helped in one or the other. And even in her death, something will be done. Wangari Maathai is another person who believed in conserving the environment. She was also not afraid of whatever may happen to her life. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 1 to 3, we find Jesus' mission statement. Because Jesus is one person, one study case that we can use of somebody who brought a transformation, somebody who brought a change in the mindset of people in the world. When he started his ministry, he quoted this statement in the book of Luke chapter 4, verse 18 and 19. And I have it, I would like to read directly. Verse 18, he said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and to recover of sight, and recovery of sight to the bride, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord." Do you know what? That is exactly what he did. He remained faithful to that vision, and there was no authority, no power, no religious leader would have changed his mindset. He remained faithful to that vision until he declared, "It is finished." And the result was the birth of a major religious transformation in the world, the birth of a new spiritual world order, the birth of the kingdom of God on earth, the birth of a church. That is somebody who had a vision. So we need people with visions right now. Me and you, we have a vision in our own small way, and we shall change that confusion, that ambiguity that seems to be engulfing the world day by day. A transformative leader has certain observable characteristics. One, he does not take offense, even in the heat of provocation. We are seeing more and more leaders being more reactive than being proactive. When we become reactive, the VUCA world holds us hostage. We only react to what is happening around us. So we keep on defending, protecting ourselves, learning here and there, and crying wolf. Mahatma Gandhi once said, "You can't change how people treat you or what they say about you. All you can do is change how you react to it." See, it is about us deciding to change. Another characteristic is that he makes provision for and uses every opportunity, every opposition or challenge as stepping stones. He is never afraid of the opposition. The book of Mark chapter 15, verse 11 and 14. People shouted to Jesus when they were given a choice, whether they want Barabbas to be released or Jesus to be released. They shouted, "Crucify him, crucify him." What they didn't know is that that declaration they were making was pushing Jesus to his victory and his destiny. What I'm trying to say is that however much we may look at how confused and how uncertain our environment is, we can see opportunities in whatever is happening. In fact, people who make it in life, the best inventors in the world, they never invented because they were in comfort zone. Most of them invented whatever they invented because they were facing a challenge. And as they were thinking about how to develop, how to come out of that challenge, an idea comes, they develop on it. And the next thing we hear, invention of something new in the world. That is what we call using every opposition or challenge as a stepping stone to your destiny. Another observable characteristic is that such leaders do not allow external rewards to motivate. Such leaders do not allow eternal rewards to motivate them. The difference between eternal rewards and temporary rewards is that temporary rewards are things that we get from people. The retro payments here, a retro bribe there, a retro praise there, a retro word of heckle there. But eternal rewards, in fact, people don't understand you. They don't understand why would you pay such a price? Why would you die for that idea you have? They always wonder what drives you towards doing what you are doing. Because to you, you are not driven by what you get now, but you are driven by another inner voice, another inner force that is telling you, even after death, even after everything is said and done, there will be there are rewards kept for you. And I believe even for those who are not believers, that voice still speaks to them. The idea of leaving a legacy behind them. It is an eternal reward because people talk about it, people enjoy your invention long after you are gone. As I conclude, another strategy that we need to take is to arm ourselves with the necessary information or knowledge to overcome challenges and achieve our objectives. Many times we try to change our environment, we try to change our situation, but we don't have enough information about what we are about to do. I want to concur with Pastor Che about learning and relearning, because until we do that, because when we are doing that, we are removing the obsolete idea that we held yesterday and embracing new set of ideas that are relevant today and in today's world. The book of Luke chapter 4, verse 1 to 13. There is the story of how Jesus went through the wilderness and was tempted 3 times. I want you to discover that one of the things that we get from these scriptures, that Jesus had the word, he had the scriptures at his fingertips. So whichever way the devil tried to get him, he was always ready. Once we arm ourselves with the information that we need, the challenges as they come about, we are ready for them. We always have an alternative, and therefore will not be brought down, will not be derailed or diverted from achieving objectives. One needs to do the necessary research. Take time Do your homework. Be ready. So that whatever challenge that comes your way, you have a point to deal with it. I'm really impressed by this. There is a principle you learned, I think Pareto principle of 80-20% or rule. And I remember we said that it is good you prioritize your 20%. Those are the skills, the knowledge, the strengths, and the attitudes. And because those 20%, once you prioritize them, they will impact upon the 80% of others. So the 20%, for you to be able to change the attitudes and the strength, you need information. Somebody said, information is power. Africa, one of the areas that we are lacking, and that is why we find ourselves, we are on the receiving end, is because we have not invested enough in research. Right now, we are on the receiving side when it comes to COVID-19 vaccine. This is because we have not taken time, we have not taken resources to invest in research so that we can be able to come up with our own vaccines without depending on Western world or Eastern world. So we find ourselves, we are groping in the darkness. We don't know what to do. We become beggars. The world becomes so unpredictable to us. But if we had done our research, if we had equipped our people, then the world also will be asking help from us. May God help us. So that even in these situations, in the political situation in Kenya in particular, the economic situations that we are facing in Kenya right now, we need people who are going to say, yes, I need something different. I was impressed to hear the story of President Kagame. I understand that, I don't know whether I heard from Joseph talking about it, but I can't remember exactly who was talking about this one. But what he did, he went and looked for the best minds, and he made them to be his advisors. And I believe they created for him the best working model of governance, especially on the economic side. Now we see Rwanda is doing very well, especially when we compare it with the East African cluster countries. I want to end by saying, change belongs to us. We are the people to change. Wherever you are, where you are right now, where you are working right now, be a catalyst of change by first changing yourself. Thank you so much for listening to us, and I believe you got the points. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Reverend Evanson. That has come out very clear. We'll do a summary at the end. Let's appreciate Reverend Evanson. Let's appreciate Reverend Evanson in this digital modern world for the wonderful and very precise presentation. Finally, I'll just straight away invite our third and final discussant for tonight, Mr. Peter Githiomi, who is a civil engineer and also a vice chairman at Deliverance Church Umoja, leading the team of men there, to share his perspective on this subject of leading in a VUCA world. Mr. Githiomi, please welcome.
Thank you, Chairman, and also thank you, Peter and Everson, who have spoken before me. As I've been introduced, I'm in Deliverance Church Umoja, leading the men. My journey started around in 2013. That's about 7 years ago, when I I did this program Man Enough, and then I started serving. I was already serving as an usher, but now I started serving as a assistant secretary in the men's ministry. That's how my journey of leadership started. So mine, I'm going to do it like a case study, how we are doing the leadership or leading the men in the ministry. So from 2013, as a vice secretary, I was able to, to keep on. I'm the one who was kept on the records for the men, reminding them of the meetings, holding them accountable, how they are attending the meetings and the reports. So with that, I can say that I was able to learn resilience, to learn courage. And then I think 2 years after that, I became the vice chairman, the position I'm holding until now. And what I can share about leadership, especially when you are leading men, is that the first thing that we did or we are doing as a ministry is to empower men, because without empowering men and even bringing out that identity that God has created men to lead and even to be at the front, the common problems that we are facing in the society will be very evident. Where men take a backseat, they become passive, they go to drinking and many other things is evident. So the first thing that we have done is that we have enrolled men to take the Man Enough program. Maybe I think I'll talk about it a bit. This is a transformation program that introduces man to himself based on the biblical understanding in Genesis 2:15, where God instructed man that take care of the garden. He placed the man in the garden and told him to take care. So we challenge men to take care of their families, to take care of their environments, to take care of their neighborhoods. And the other thing, the issue of blames and all that in home states, that one has been dealt with, because men now are able to become more responsible even in their own homes. And even in the church, we have realized that out of this training, men are becoming more responsible. We are able now to get more Sunday school teachers who are men, unlike before, because men now are able to frontier. We are able to get more men ushers, more men frontiering for protocol or security issues. So, and that way they have also realized that when you serve, you start your leadership journey. So as a result of this, we have seen many men come to the leadership positions. That's one key area that we have noted. Many men are leaders now, and with the time, some of them are going to estate fellowship leading. They are leading in other places. They have started other programs, of empowering men. Like we have several programs even in the church that are being now led by men. So to emphasize this, what has come out is that men have realized that the potential to grow and to become great and to have dominion lies within them. But all they needed was to be funded. Yeah? Kupepeta. So, and that's how it has happened. Again, when men have met in these groups, they have been able to form accountability partners. You get an accountability partner who is able to hold you. Even now, when you are at home, your family, the family members are able to visit you, to know that so and so is a friend of so and so, or he's the one who holds him to accountable. In case of any issue or some disagreement, your family, they already know that so and so is what my husband or is working with so and so. So because of that accountability, people are able to live lives that are transparent. We have seen men now living lives that are transparent, lives that are productive, because now they are no longer hiding. They are no longer like, submarine, where men live, with no character, that they are like two different people. because the true picture in the church is not that pleasing, I can tell you. Because like recently, we had a camp of these young girls who are going to class 8. You know, they have been at home for quite some time, and the church decided to organize a camp. Actually, the camp shares almost the same name with our VUCA here, but that one is the VUCA of K, Kuvuka, you know, like, because now they are going to secondary school. So it is VUCA. And when we told those young girls to write down some of their prayer requests without putting even their name, it was very, very clear from the list that more than half of the girls said that pray for my father. He drinks a lot, he smokes, he's abusive, he's absent. All these were cited. So we can actually see that we have a task ahead of us. And that I think the journey we have started with the Man Enough Transformation Program is what we are actually going to maybe enforce and even make it more feasible and try to enroll more men into it. Because that is the picture we got a month ago, that we could be raising a generation that is fatherless, and we know what can happen or what has happened. We have heard even stories in America. What happens? It's not a good thing at all. So that is one of the tools that we are using. Then the men's ministry, we have also put the men in groups, or what we call the houses. And then under these houses, they're supposed to fellowship together, again, hold one another accountable. And in most cases, also men, because they normally join together whenever there is projects. Men are normally wired to be task oriented. Some have actually come up with projects of their own liking, and these projects are able to bring the men together. So whenever you tell a man we are meeting to discuss this, this and this, they can actually look forward to what will happen, or the product. So, and also one time, I remember in the church, the bishop challenged men to do the cabro, you know, the parking, paving it. And okay, though it was quite a heavy financial, but we started off and it has been finished. So, and I know this is something that men are really proud of, because whenever they start a project and you see the end of it, and then that way we are able to engage and bring the men together. Then the other one is on transformation, keeping this message of transformation, holding people accountable live. I'm sure you have also noted, even the pastors in the house, that sermons don't change people a lot, some of them, because when people hear, most of the time they forget quite a chunk of it by the time even you meet next time. But if you have something or somebody to hold them accountable, even before you meet next time, or even after the sermon you had, what have you done? What were you not doing, but now you started doing? That way you are able to see a transformation in that person. And that's what the kind of whenever we have meetings or those houses of prophet meetings, that's what we are aimed at, holding people accountable and to see what transformations that are happening in their own lives. Then another thing as a ministry we are doing is to work with the young people, especially those who are finishing class 8. As early as that, there's a program on mentorship called ropes, rite of passage. So when they are going through this the cut, you know, by the time they are going to Form 1, we already have a mentorship program where we take them through. Then even for the next 4 years that will be with them, we'll be able to work with them throughout and bring them on board. Throughout those 4 years, we will be speaking to them. Whenever they come, they have questions. Maybe they want to ask us, you know, because of maybe a new development that has happened when they were in school. We are able to discuss with them those issues and even the questions that might be arising, because you remember that is the time they are still forming, and there could be also new influences in school. So we are keeping that close monitoring with them throughout those 4 years that they've been in secondary school. So we have decided to be deliberate in the mentorship. The other thing with the men, we are also holding regular meetings and reports just to evaluate the progress. So in a nutshell, I think that's what we are doing to bring the men together and to keep them engaged so that we can change this generation, starting with ourselves. As the earlier speaker has mentioned, is the same principle as Nelson Mandela quoted, that until I changed myself, I cannot change others. So that is our key focus, that the men we change, and then we can be able to change others, change our houses, and lead the change that we want to see in our homes. And then with the time, we'll see a changed nation. Thank you very much for that opportunity.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gidiomi. Let's appreciate Mr. Gidiomi. And I trust and I am sure that we've been able to pick quite a number of very, very important areas that we can probably incorporate in our leadership. And now allow me just to run through the highlights as I also bring my last part of my comments. And as I do this, I will also request that have your drink ready. We're going to have a toast at the end. So have it ready with you so that we can be able to celebrate the occasion together. Now, some of the highlights from the discussions, especially those who have just joined on board now, you will benefit from this. We are saying remain anchored and focused on the core. That is the vision, the values, and the mission. You also remain truthful to your vision and keep your eye on the ball. That's very important in a VUCA world so that we don't drift from our purpose. I'm preparing something for the next stage of this program, and I was reading an article about how winning organizations last 100 years. Yeah, those organizations that have been able to last for more than 100 years. And just to mention two issues that are very clear is that they have a stable core. The inner team, the inner circle is very, very stable, but they don't mind disrupting the edge. The edge, these are the consultants, these are part-time workers, so they can disrupt the edge, but they ensure the core is very, very stable and they don't change the core that often. Two, they shape society. So they align themselves to what society is shifting towards. So they are very keen to study how society is evolving. I know we have amongst us some Sunday school teachers. So we try to study how are kids evolving in 10 years, in a few years to come. What probably will be the new trends, and how do we align ourselves so that we are able to continue helping these kids and also remain relevant in terms of our core areas. So the other issue that has come out very important is that we have to be change makers, So we need to embrace change makers mindset. That's very clear. Disrupt ourselves, be very comfortable, not very comfortable, but be comfortable with disruptions or disrupting ourselves in terms of learning. And also be comfortable to disrupt our teams because we need to adapt to the new norm. And sometimes it might call for disrupting a team in one way or another. Paradigm shift action with a new mindset. And I like the idea of attitude of a child because a child is curious and they are always ready to dream. Continuous learning and unlearning has come out very clear. Be proactive rather than reactive. Transformative leadership. We need to see the opportunities presented in this VUCA world and invest in research and development in terms of knowledge. The case of Rwanda, actually the Rwanda case is also an interesting area because I think the team of advisors is not just the locals. They are able to tap across the world as long as someone can add value and help the president make sound and good decision for the country. And finally, expose your team to transformative programs or tools so that they are able to adapt in this kind of a setup. And in my highlight, let me just conclude by saying that the fall of Nokia teaches us quite a lot. What are some of the lessons that we can pick from the fall of Nokia? They didn't do anything wrong in their business. However, the world changed too fast. The world is changing too fast. And I think this is a wake-up call that we need to keep on changing ourselves as fast as we can to keep at pace with this kind of the shift that is happening. Their opponents adopted and grew powerful. And within no time, they were out of business. They missed out on learning and even unlearning, as Pastor Chege has mentioned. They missed out on changing, and thus they lost the opportunity at hand to engineer their products and get back to the market. They lost their chance of survival. And basically, the key lessons here: if you don't change, if we don't change, then we shall be removed from the competition. The competitors might knock us out. New products, new services, new leadership might find or might render us irrelevant if we don't adapt to the new environment. If your thoughts and mindset cannot catch up with time, it's possible that we can be eliminated. And I want to challenge us to join the small team of innovators. There is this curve, diffusion of innovation curve. How it explains how and why, at what rate new ideas and technology spread. And in terms of innovators, the number of innovators is very, very small. 2.5% of all the population are innovators. 2.5% are innovators. So amongst us in our organization, wherever we are, do we have innovators? People who will be far ahead, as we said, be at the cloud, but at the same time be able to work with the people, update the team of what is happening, what are the new trends that are coming up. Early adopters, 13.5, these are people who now are able to run with the new innovations. Early majority, this is where most people fall in. They wait for innovators to embrace new technologies, new innovations. Early adopters come in. Then the early majority, they also come in. Then we have the late majority who wait, but the worst part of this is the laggards. These are the last people. These are the last people. These are people who change a phone because now it can't communicate any longer. As you have kept it, you have maintained it until it doesn't. Just think about the digital television. There are people who adopted very fast. There are people who waited until it was switched off. Those are actually what we are referring to as the laggards. We wait until circumstance forces us to be able to change. So I think we need to think about these innovators. This is what might have knocked Nokia out of business. And finally, we need to move from hierarchy to self-organization, push decisions down to the organization, decentralize decision-making, move from protecting information. This has also come out very clear, to democratization of information, so that you can be able to empower the team to make decisions that are based on sound knowledge. Speed up interactions, accelerate the speed of interaction, and also communication as much as possible. In COVID period, this was paramount. We didn't have time to wait. time to think so much, but we had time to make decisions and act as fast as possible. Use simple rules or processes to make quick decisions and action rather than perfect analysis. And we need to look out for complexity and also bureaucracy that might derail some of these processes. Maybe Nokia might have suffered from some of these issues that I'm pointing out. Again, remember that yesterday's advantage will be replaced by tomorrow's strengths. Yeah, what worked yesterday may not work today. Yesterday's solution will be today's challenges. So we have to really have that in mind, that if it worked, it may not work now. And as Pastor Chege challenged us, the biggest challenge is to unlearn, not really even to learn, to unlearn, because this has gotten in us and we're very hesitant to let go. So you don't have to do anything wrong as long as change overshadows you. You can lose it at that. And again, we are saying to learn and learn and relearn so that we adapt to change and improve. This gives us, it gives me a second chance to be able to remain afloat. So failing to learn and failing to change, failing to improve will definitely lead to redundancy and irrelevance. Nokia was knocked out. Posta, so many other entities that have been knocked out because of these critical issues. And finally, I will just point out this without highlighting the Kaizen principles. They're very important in this season. As I also mentioned this Chinese word, crisis. They say in Chinese, crisis has two characters, and it can mean danger or it can mean opportunity. So a VUCA world presents these two parts of a coin, danger and opportunity. It's all about what do we choose to see. And I think we should be driven with a mind to change for better. Regardless of the situation, what we need to look at, whatever change we are impressing is changing for better. So Kaizen principles: 1, improve everything continually, abolish old traditional concepts or strategies, accept no excuses and make things happen, especially in the team. As we work around the team, try to make sure that we have a team that is progressive and also adaptive. Say no to the status quo of implementing new methods and assuming they will work. If something is wrong, correct it. Number 6, empower everyone to take part in problem solving. Get information and opinion from multiple people. Before making decisions, ask why question 5 times to get to the root cause. You remember that, we handled that in class. And then number 9, be economical. Save money through small improvements to spend the saved money on further improvements. And finally, remember that improvement has no limits. Never stop trying to improve. So I believe that this is something that can help us. Maybe we just need to take some more time to look at the Kaizen principles again. They are very important in this season of leading in a VUCA world. They are principles that can help us to be able to adapt and to be able to align ourselves. Yeah, so those are the key highlights, and just want to pause as we conclude, just to allow if there is any reaction on the chat, we can handle the reaction. And as we handle the reactions, please have your drink ready and set your camera ready so that we can be able to conclude with a toast. So any reaction either on the chat, we can take, let's take 3 reactions, either on the chat or just need to unmute and share your reaction verbally. Just 3, and then we'll be able to conclude. Yeah, just 3 reactions. It may be a question, it can be a comment, it can be an improvement of what we have shared. Yeah, Mr. Edwin Chege, thank you for the compliment to the team today. So I can take 2 more.
Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Geoffrey.
Yes, I think for me, it's really to appreciate what we have been taken through tonight. I was really looking forward to this because this is something that I think I have seen over the last couple of years, leaders going through a lot of stress, leaders going through a lot of frustration, and possibly this is what needed to come through to know that the world is now different. And thank you so much for coming up with this VUCA concept, where we're able to understand the new realities that we need to be aware of as we take our leadership roles. For the discussants, I think you've done a great job. We want to thank God for you. We have learned so much this evening, right from Pastor Chege, when he talked about changing the mindsets and being uncomfortable with the status quo, and emphasizing so much on the requirements of the 21st century leadership, where you need to learn and relearn. And that is the only way you can become future-proof as a leader. And also, very interesting to notice that we need to drop the adult baggage if you have to keep moving forward. That was really very good. From Reverend Evanson, I think it was also a great presentation. And what I picked and what I was able to understand from what he was presenting about transformative leadership is that leading is a living subject, and it becomes more alive if it is consciously applied against a VUCA world, because that is the real world that we're living in. And it should be anchored on a vision, very, very important. And then from Peter Githiomi, I think that was great. Men have actually disappeared somehow. And I think this is common everywhere. And I think what you're doing, Bwana Peter, is great to bring out the identity of men and empowering them to take their rightful role in the church, in the society. That was really great. Chairman, thank you so much for bringing us together to learn this. God bless you so much.
Thank you, Geoffrey, for cementing the discussion very well. So on the charts, I can see a number of comments. Reiterate the sequence: learn, relearn, and learn. I think Pastor Chege mentioned something on this. I don't know if there is any comment, Pastor Chege, you may want to make on this.
Thank you, Chair. Not really any comments, but I want to, because you've given me this chance, most likely just throw a challenge on the question of attitude. I've been thinking about the experience of Elijah in 1 Kings chapter 17, where he's told to turn east and go to the brook where he was. And in verse 6, he was in a very comfortable situation where meat is brought, there is water, there is bread. And now in that comfort, all of a sudden he receives another message because the brook was dry, and he's told to go. And he was going to Zarephath, where a widow was going to feed him. And I was asking myself, if we were faced with that kind of a situation, how many of us would have left that brook? Or we would have said, this is where meat is provided free of charge. This is where water just comes out of the way. But I think Elijah made this realization that it was God who provided when I was in the brook. Many of us would want to, through our own efforts, to dig in the rocks that were there. Attitude in the VUCA world. If there is something we must fight against, is this thing called comfort zone. It cannot operate in the VUCA world. I thank God for Elijah. He listened and he took a new direction. And I think this is what leaders need to do, especially those of us who are leading. It is over, it is over. Having ears that are tuned to the new direction, the new strategies, that is what creates transformation.
Wow, thank you so much, Pastor Chege, for the clarification. Fred Mutunga, I can see a comment. Overlooked aspect of learning is the process of unlearning. I'm a bit off there. I don't know if that is a question from Fred Mutunga.
So I think, Chair, what the message was that in the learning process, we must learn, we must unlearn, and we must relearn. But what I was saying is that in that process, if there is one thing that is overlooked, it is the question of unlearning. Because the ideas that we have acquired, the skills that we have acquired, and even when they are not relevant today, when they are obsolete, we still want to stick to them. The case I'm talking of Elijah saying, if water was there yesterday, I learned through experience that this is where there is water, this is where there is bread, hapa mimi sitoki. That's what that statement means. That in the learning process, sometimes we don't want to unlearn because it is not easy. It is, it's what we are saying, disrupting what we are used to, and we become uncomfortable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Chege. I think we can pause there for tonight. We need to do this more often so that we continue getting clearer and deepening our knowledge on this subject, and also being informed with what is happening within our environment, and that will help us to be able to adapt. So I've recorded this session, and I'll be able to share the link with you immediately after this. Otherwise, I want just to request that we all, I hope if you are in a place where you can set your video on, please let's set our videos on and our drink ready. And if you can hear me, and she's joining us from US, if she can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Wow, great. How is the place? How are you up there? Is it up or down?
We are very fine. You're very
Yeah.
fine. The Lord has kept us well. It's just a lot of heat. It's very hot.
Yeah, we appreciate for joining. I hope you have also been able to learn some concepts from this side of the world.
Yes, very powerful teaching. There is no new concept. Everywhere the same things apply, I believe so. And I love this sitting here because I'm always encouraged and sharpened in many ways. So thank you so much.
Good. So I'll request Anne, you help us to propose the toast. So let's have our video. If you're able to have your video on, some of you, I think we have even never met, like seen each other. So this will be an opportunity just to be able to see each other in this new world, new normal. And then I'll request, let's have our videos on if you are able to do that. Let's have a video on. Let's also have our drink ready. I know it's a bit cold here in Kenya, so if you can have even a hot drink, that's we'll do for now. And Anna, if you can help us just to propose the toast and we celebrate this moment together, please just do it and help us to do that together.
Please go ahead and do it. Thank you.
Yeah, so based on yeah, you can proceed, and I think we are set. Most of the people are set now. Anne, you are muted.
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, according to Kaizen principle, change for better. So we are doing this with a mindset of, regardless of what is happening within our environment, every change will be change for better and for all of us. May we enjoy the drink.
Cheers.
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 Yes.
Wow.
Cheers.
Thank you so much. This is nice. It makes us feel warm in the midst of the cold. And I want to say thank you so much for joining. Thank you to the discussants for investing the time to research, sharing the insights tonight. We are so happy and so pleased for the kind of input that we have been able to get today. And I just have to close the meeting. I know we may want to really engage more and just keep on having this kind of an experience, but for today, let's put a comma there. We'll be able to do more of this. And we can unmute and share the words of grace together as we conclude. May the grace of Jesus
Our Lord
Christ,
Jesus Christ, and the love of God,
and fellowship
and
of
the
the
fellowship
Holy
of the Holy Spirit,
Spirit now
be with us now
forever.
and forevermore.
Amen.
Amen.
You can wish your cohort your cohorts good night. If you can see your cohort members, wish them good night.
Cohort 10, good night.